Oh god. Hello, how's it going, everyone?
Hey, what's up?
There we go. Welcome to Pixelgon Podcast, episode 9.
9?
Almost at 10.
Almost.
That's
Sweet
nearly 10, which is almost 10.
Which is before...
Which is right before 11. But after...
9.
8. No, because we're at 9 now.
Oh!
Miguel's not very good at math. So anyway, welcome back. We're here to talk about the PlayStation Experience, which was a recent event that happened in somewhereville in a convention center.
Somewhere around there.
Where they showed a bunch of cool new Sony games, essentially, that are coming out for PlayStation 4, as well as some new trailers for games coming out in the future.
So what is PSX? PSX basically is a convention done exclusively for PlayStation fans. It is very exciting that this is going because we all know that we have gone to all of them, Comic-Con and PAX and all those, and those are great. They're freaking awesome. But they do have one thing that's kind of a turnoff. They're very generic. You go in there and you don't know what you expect. Whilst when you have these type of conventions that they're hyper-focused into one thing, those tend to be better. I mean, like the Star Wars Celebration Day that they had not too long ago was all Star Wars, and everybody there was just pumped with Star Wars. This is basically the same, but for PlayStation. So it was pretty cool. Not that many big good announcements, but still pretty decent.
So it's sort of like an event that Sony's putting on for their fans, so that their fans can come in that are super hyped about Sony and look at a bunch of new Sony stuff and let them play a bunch of the new games and new tech that's coming out and just get an idea for kind of what they might want to purchase in the future, I guess. So we're going to go over the PlayStation Experience today. That'll be most of our news stuff, and then we'll move on from there. So what was the first thing we wanted to talk about? That was...
Japanese porn.
Well... Okay, so tentacle porn is something we can definitely go in depth into talking about, but I'm sure that's probably not related to the PlayStation Experience.
Probably not.
Unless we're talking about Final Fantasy. Then
but we'll get back to that later.
Probably correct, actually. But the first thing that we wanted to talk about was a remake of a game that was announced.
Remaster.
Not a remake. Actually, you're right.
Day of the Tentacle Remaster was announced by none other than Tim Schafer.
Double Fine
Studios.
So, Day of the Tentacle was a very popular and very influential LucasArts adventure game back in the 90s, based around the main character, Bernard, who is from Maniac Mansion, which was also an old adventure game that was very popular at the time.
And a lot of people actually didn't know it was a sequel at the time. It was kind of like a surprise. Many people who were spoiler gonna watch Creed movie that came out. Many people didn't know that that's actually a Rocky sequel. Day of the Tentacle was actually somewhat like that.
Yeah, exactly. Just like that buzzing phone. Nice, got there. So, Day of the Tentacle, it remastered. Essentially, what they did was I don't know how I feel about the art on this, honestly. Because I really like the pixel art from the original. And it looks like what they did was they just went into, like, Photoshop. Made all the lines black. And then just filled it.
Yeah,
with fucking paint. And I don't know if that looks right.
They did this game in Paint. Let's start by that.
It looks like an MS Paint, like, overdone. I don't know. I am really big on the original Day of the Tentacle and the look on it. Like I like how they kept the animations. Like if you look at the animation right here, which I'm pointing out with the mouse of the movement and everything, it still looks like the old sort of jerky animation, which is good because you want to be able to keep that nostalgic feel when you're remaking it or remastering it. This is going to be fairly similar to the Grim Fandango remaster in that they're just trying to make it look pretty. But the difference between this is Grim Fandango had a 3D everything.
Yeah.
This is 2D. So in order for them to remaster this, they ended up just sort of photoshopping everything, which doesn't really look as good. So I am excited to play this, and it is going to have a little bit of extra stuff, I think, compared to the normal. Like there's a dev commentary about them going back and remastering and going through the files and everything, kind of like they did with Grim Fandango. But I don't know how I feel about the art style. As you can see here, they also announced a Full Throttle remaster, which I assume will be in a similar art style. They'll just kind of go back and re-Photoshop over everything to make it look nice and smooth rather than pixelated. I don't think changing the art style, though, is the same as remastering the game. So I'm a little interested to see if they do anything else to update the controls or anything else like that. Because the original game used Scum engine.
Yep.
So Scum engine was the context-sensitive engine that gave you like open, use, talk to, and all that, and had all the text on the bottom. So you could mouse over something that you wanted to click on, and it would tell you kind of what you can do with that, or with your items in your inventory. Also, I want to point out this thing with Psychonauts 2.
No, Psychonauts The Rumpus of Ruin. It's a VR game.
Oh, it's a VR game?
Yeah.
So I want to point out real quickly about this. There was a famous Time VR cover. Yeah.
Okay.
Which
there
got
we go.
photoshopped to death as a joke. And if you notice, if I go back and turn this back on, there's a little similarity between these.
Pretty awesome. Pretty funny.
Which is a pretty obvious joke. But I thought that was cute.
So how do you feel about Double Fine with doing all of these remasters? I mean, this is the third and fourth time we've already had remastered. We already had Grim Fandango remastered.
Yeah.
I know we had another one, I just can't remember now, and then they're giving us Day of the Tentacle, and they're giving us also Full Throttle. I mean, are we expecting sequels for all these games? I mean, is there a real purpose why all these remasters are going?
So the reason the remasters are coming out is because none of the old LucasArts games are really being sold anymore, or nothing's being done with them, so they were just kind of being forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
So like my generation that played the Grim Fandango and the Secret of Monkey Island and all that, they wouldn't have really played them in the newer generation without the remakes or remastered editions and those types of things. So for them to go out and remake these is a good thing, because it's preserving that game for another generation to enjoy it, as well as for my generation to go through and play it with maybe not as rose-tinted eyes as if we went and actually played the original. Because there's a lot of nice
also
updates.
that Disney is allowing all of these remasters to go on, because as we know, Disney purchased the entirety of LucasArts. That includes the game division. So it is good that we're seeing these all being branched out and being done. And no, there's no better company right now when it comes to those that it is Double Fine. So
yeah, I agree. So I'm happy to see it. People were asking for Day of the Tentacle actually when Grim Fandango got announced. So that's not unusual.
It's not unusual.
Loved by anyone. Can you do the Carlton?
Continuing.
But yeah, the lack of mini C makes me sad. Yeah, I didn't add that emote yet, Vash. We'll get to it. But that's it for the Double Fine announcement. I am actually excited for it. I'm just not super happy about the art direction, because it looks really kind of shitty and cheap, and I'd rather they just keep the pixel art and update some of the other parts of it.
Well, we're trying to capture those young hearts. There's a lot of people, a lot of childs nowadays, that haven't been able to experience what adventure games are, because they're not that popular nowadays. You know, you want to go, and kids go to stores and they want to buy that family game, Call of Duty and Grand Theft Auto, and just play that. So it's good to have these options available for them.
Yeah, I agree. So next we had... Yeah, here we go. So on the PlayStation Experience, they also announced that the PS4 will be supporting some PS2 titles, but only through digital download. So it's not going to be PS2 backwards compatible with the disc. And each game is going to cost $10 to $15, depending on the game. So they announced a couple lists of games. Dark Cloud, Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas, Rogue Galaxy, The Mark of Cree, Twisted Metal Black, and War of the Monsters. Were the games.
Vash the Stamp said that he's excited for Psychonauts 2, but Double Fine has done some dumb things in the past, like Broken Age. He likes it.
I liked Broken Age as a game, except for the ending, because it looked like they just rushed the ending because people were getting upset that they were taking too long. So they just kind of ended the game and released it, which is fair. What he's talking about is with Broken Age, they asked for money for Broken Age, called Double Fine Adventure, through Kickstarter. And then they ran out of funding because the project was way larger than they had anticipated, and then they had to do a second Kickstarter to reach the funding they needed to finish it.
Got it.
So that's what the people were upset about with Double Fine. And I don't know if that's really fair. I can go into a lot with Kickstarter and the problems with it. And the major problem, I think, with Double Fine specifically is that the Kickstarter model encourages you to add a bunch of stuff if people give you X amount of money. But when a lot of people make their Kickstarter, they don't take into account the amount of extra funding and time that will actually take to add.
Yeah.
So when you're actually adding those features and stuff that you're making for the Kickstarter, your timing of release and everything is way different than what you think it is, and I think they just really undersold what they were expecting.
I think these cases, and this is, of course, we're going off topic, but going into that, it's funny that people with Kickstarters are actually seeing how the game industry really is. A lot of people give grief, a lot of publishers, or give publishers a lot of grief because they tend to be, mean bosses, and they want the game done now, and it has to go out. But when you're the ones actually funding the game, you see this and how it affects you. And if you're putting on a game, money on a game that you're expecting that it will be released for some date, and then the developer saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, we spent more money than we thought we were going to use, and we need more time," you get pissed. And that's one way of seeing how developers, that side of the story that we usually tend to criticize and be against, but they're the Kickstarters in that aspect, so they know.
So as far as PS2 games coming out on PS4, they're being upscaled to 1080p.
Yep.
Whatever that means. They're adding trophies and a couple other minor additions to the game, but for all intents and purposes, it's the same PS2 game as it would be playing on the PS4. So the game they decided to show for gameplay footage was actually Twisted Metal Black, which looks fucking awful because the game doesn't look
good. Game is awful.
I actually like Twisted Metal Black. I think it's one of the better Twisted Metal games. It just looks really bad. It had an awful color palette because they tried to make it super dark, and then it just looks like a dark brown mess, which makes it hard to play. It does look more clear on the PS4 from what I saw, but this right here is Rogue Galaxy. This is a game that you were interested in playing, that you were thinking you might pick up.
So definitely Rogue Galaxy is one of those games that I missed out on PlayStation 2. I actually did not have a PlayStation 2 for too long. It broke halfway there, and I just never got another one. But the fact that they're bringing this one out, this is definitely a definite buy. And I do want to comment the fact that people are criticizing that it's $14.99, why not $9.99 like they used to be on the PlayStation 3, yada yada yada. But when you come look at it, there's actually work done on these games. This is not just a port. This is actually a remasters of those games. And the fact that they went inside there and they added trophies to games that didn't have them at the time, that takes a lot of work. So those extra $5 are really worth it. Once they release other games, if they release Okami
would be
for a PlayStation 4 with trophies, that's it. I'm done. I'll buy that.
Yeah. So did they ever release the Metal Gear games, like Metal Gear Solid 2?
They did collections for both PlayStation 3 and Vita.
So they probably wouldn't release that again
Not
as a PS2 game. I'd like to see Red Dead Revolver. I feel like that game's just really underappreciated. But there was a lot of interest in it again once Red Dead Redemption came out. It's just a completely different game. That's the thing. But I'd like to see that, especially with multiplayer. The multiplayer in Red Dead Revolver was so sick. What else was there? There was also Dark Cloud, I think we were talking about earlier. That looked interesting.
Dark Cloud was one of the, I believe, one of the early PlayStation 2 games. It was a combination of a JRPG with builder, a city builder.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting. It is a fun game. I have very fond memories, and that's also came out. So that's also, if you haven't played that and you're interested in that type of gaming, you pick that one up.
You had a really good point with... We were chatting about this a little bit earlier as we were trying to figure out what we would want for PS2 games to come out on the PS4. And Silent Hill 2 is a really good candidate. They released a quote-unquote Silent Hill collection a while back, which was just Silent Hill 3 and 4, which isn't really much of a collection.
If it's two things, it's not a collection. It's a couple.
Yeah, and they
Silent Hill couple.
Yeah, and they were remastered, but really poorly.
Yeah.
Like, everybody hates that collection. It screwed up the graphics. It removed fog and shit in a bunch of places that didn't need to be removed. It actually had worse text on the signs. The sign in... it's really bad. They show a sign for Silent Hill in the regular version, and in the remastered. And the regular version has, like, normal sort of, like, impact type of print. And in fucking... in the remastered remake, it's fucking Comic Sans. Like, somebody actually went in and updated it to change it to Comic Sans for the remastered. Fucking assholes.
That guy was either really drunk or he was like, oh shit, I forgot to do this. Word.
Yeah, so like...
this one.
I don't know how they didn't include Silent Hill 1 and Silent Hill 2 in the Silent Hill collection, but... Silent Hill 2 is a game that should definitely be included at some point.
That's definitely
in
a great
PS4.
candidate for a remaster in the PlayStation 4. So I'm excited for this. People are comparing it to the whole backwards compatibility for Xbox. It's not the same thing. The backward compatibility.
Yeah, this isn't at all backwards compatibility.
Yeah, it is
It's
emulation, but it's emulation done right. So I'm excited. I'm actually very happy with this.
Yeah, it's no Minecraft for Wii U, but close enough for government work.
Definitely. So on that note, let's take a little side note and announce that we don't have a video for that. But yes, Minecraft was announced on Monday for Wii U. A little late to the party. The problem is that not only did it arrive late to the party, it didn't bring any beer because you can only use the gamepad as a second screen to play, but people were expecting, inventory management, stuff like that with it, which is usually what
literally anything
any game does with the gamepad, and they didn't bring that, so that's kind of weird. But hey, for you guys who have a Wii U and would like to enjoy Minecraft, and you're one of the 2% of humanity who hasn't even played it, it's there for you.
The only use for Minecraft on Wii U is Miiverse integration, and it is going to be 500% worse than Splatoon Miiverse posts, and I can't wait.
The dick pics are gonna go off the wall.
Oh my lord, Miiverse is so good. Alright, so what do we have next here?
We have one of the biggest announcements and surprises for PXX.
It's kind of a small game though, right? I've never heard of this
tiny.
game.
I've never heard of this game. It's an indie title.
Indie title, you might have heard of it, Final Fantasy VII.
Final Fantasy VII?
What's V? No, V.
Oh, V. Final Fantasy V.
V.
So, Final Fantasy VII Remake was not announced because we've known of this since E3, but actually showed gameplay, which was pretty freaking surprising considering that this is how Square Enix works. We announce a game, 5 years later we show you gameplay, and 10 years later we release it. So the fact that they the fact that they not only announced Final Fantasy VII this year, but also showing gameplay is surprising. But then came the bad news, or not really bad news, I'd say, but the surprising negative news is that it's because it's episodic.
Yeah.
So they're turning a known quantity that is Final Fantasy VII into a episodic style Telltale game ish, in the sense that it's episodic game, and that's kind of weird.
It's essentially just a completely different game, which as a remake it kind of is, to be fair. I think what they're doing is they're going to cut each episode at each disc. So on the PlayStation, the original PlayStation, the story was split into 3 discs. With this, I think they're just going to cut each episode at each disc and just do 1 disc at a time. And that's probably a good way to cut the story up. You get the same experience as you would like swapping the disc and moving on with the story. But it's a little shitty to sell the game in separate parts like that at this point. When you bought it originally, it was just a game. Although to be fair, with the original PlayStation, multi-disc games were more expensive on average than 1-disc games.
Yeah, that's back when there was not a standard for price.
Even shitty multi-disc games were more expensive just because they had more discs.
And you had, and you saw that also in the N64 where the cartridges were actually heavier. When you took games like Perfect Dark or Conker's Fur Game, you hold that in your hands. That game was heavy. You can feel it was heavier than other N64
because they had an extra chip.
Yeah. So, but
extra
my biggest concern in this is how they're gonna do it, right? So they're going, and like Vash mentioned, like if they're gonna be more on the bring more to the story, sure, go for it. But here's the problem: this really reminds me of when they announced the Hobbit movies, and then they realize, say, oh yeah, we're coming with the Hobbit, and it's coming in 3 movies, and you're like, but the Hobbit is one small book. Why are we doing 3 movies out of it? And that's what I'm afraid that's going to happen with Final Fantasy. We played this story. We know this story. We remember this story fondly. And if you're going to go ahead and expand this just to milk it, that is a problem. Now, I do understand that.
It's kind of what I feel like they're doing, though.
Yeah, but I do understand that the other time, these people are taking so many projects. They're not only doing Final Fantasy VII, although CD Projekt Red is helping them with this. But they're also making Kingdom Hearts 3. They're making Mankind, the game where you're a cyber guy.
I have no
Can't remember.
I have no idea.
Deus Ex.
Deus Ex. Sure.
They're making Deus Ex. They're making a lot of games right now. So the fact that they're allowing this to be episodic means that we're gonna get this sooner. So that is a good news.
So the combat in this is actually going to be much more like 13. It looks like, as opposed to the original.
No, I believe that the combat will be more in style with a Final Fantasy 12, and I'm not mistaken.
It's more action oriented, at least. But what I'm really curious about is will there be a mode? Yeah, this looks more like 13 combat to me. If you look at the old combat, it's definitely different. But when you I'm wondering if they have a mode where you could switch the faces of the new over to the original faces. So it's like this blank texture with like a shitty anime eyes and stuff. That'd be great.
That'd be fantastic.
I would play that. But I think that's all we have for Final Fantasy VII. Episodic, probably shit, but it depends on the pricing.
I'm hopeful. I'm going to pay it. I mean, fun. I have super fond memories, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So another thing that they announced at PSX is, or not really announced, is they showed a new trailer for Uncharted. Yeah. As you guys know by maybe last week's episode. Last episode that I'm super excited. We're super excited for Uncharted 4. This one showed a little bit more, and this trailer featured a little bit more on the relationship between Drake and his long-lost brother. But this is the part where it is interesting. It is first revealed that there's actually going to be dialogue options, which is a completely first for the series. We've never actually seen that. It is pretty excited, but we already know there's been already some interviews with the director when Drunkman, and basically he said don't look too much into it. It's not going to be Mass Effect. It is not the choices in the game is not going to be alter the story. It is more like a nod where players, since this is Drake's last game, players can go ahead and choose what they want to talk about. Like in this instance, when his brother asked him what he'd been up to, it gives you the option to talk of any one of the last 3 games. So pick your favorite, choose that, and talk. So that's pretty exciting. Uncharted 4 is going to be released, I believe it's May, and we're super excited for it.
It's pretty soon. The game looks amazing. Super good, actually. Like, as somebody who actually enjoys the Uncharted series, and has never actually even owned a PS3 or a PS4, I've just played it on other people's systems. I really enjoyed it.
It is a modern day Indiana Jones, and you can't go wrong with that.
But that's exciting. A little bit more story. Not much else to really talk about. I would suggest watching the trailer. It's really well done. I'll go ahead and link it in chat because it is actually a really good trailer if you want to listen to it.
If you are into the story, definitely.
But we're not going to go over it too much more. There was one more big announcement from the PlayStation Experience, and I think that was about it. So we'll go ahead and start the video here and talk about it.
Yeah.
There was a game released a while back from Level 5. Level 5 is the company that made Professor Layton games. And
Yokai Watch.
Yokai Watch. They also made Ni no Kuni.
Yes.
Which was sort of like a JRPG game with animation cutscenes done by Studio Ghibli, so the famous Studio Ghibli. So the second game of that has been announced with a full trailer, which we are currently watching here, and it is back with Studio Ghibli composer as well as animation.
I am super excited for this one, Derek. Ni no Kuni was one of those games that For those few of us who knew it was coming, it was exciting. For those of us who are fans of our JRPGs, we're fan of Level 5, and we're fans of Studio Ghibli, this was just the holy grail for us. And it not only did it release, it was an awesome game. And I argue that it's the best JRPG on the PlayStation 3 by far. And it's a game that gained a lot of love. It is much like people say it's a Pokemon clone. No, far from it. It is more of a Dragon Quest type game,
like a Dragon Quest 7 or 8.
Where you have your character and you battle monsters and you have the possibility to bring those monsters with you. But it is not a Pokemon style game by no means. And it was super great. It was super touching. The story was great. It was one of those games like freaking the movie Up, Pixar's Up, where it made you cry in the first 5 minutes of the movie. Ni no Kuni was the same, and it is a game that I'm super excited. Many of us are excited, and if you guys haven't played Ni no Kuni, get yourself a PlayStation 3 and play it. It is one great game.
I haven't played a Ni no Kuni game, but this trailer sold me super well. As a person who really enjoys Studio Ghibli and that type of content, I would enjoy playing this just for the story. I don't even care about the gameplay. I've played a lot of Professor Layton games and really dig Level 5's work. So, yeah, I'm totally with you there too, Vash. I feel like, just based on this and from what I've seen of gameplay of the first one and such, I would totally dig this game if I actually took the time to go and play it.
Yeah. I keep saying that right now, PlayStation has a service. It's called PlayStation Now, where you pay a monthly fee. It's way too expensive, although they do have a good $100 kind of like Amazon Prime priced, right? $100 for the whole year, where you can play any PlayStation 3 games, and you can basically, it's a streamline. Not gonna pay for that shit unless they put Ni no Kuni in. If they put Ni no Kuni, I'm done. I'm paying that $100 and I'll play it. It's a fantastic game.
It looks super good. That's all I can really say. Other than, it seems like something that I would definitely want to play. I'm looking forward to it. Did it have a release date? Is the only question I have.
No release date as of right now. Other than it's coming for 2016.
Yeah, it just says that it was announced. Release date news? Let me check this real quick.
So now that we're talking about anime style games, another ones that were really announced in PlayStation, not PlayStation E3, was Gravity Rush. Gravity Rush the first one came for Vita. It's a game that I personally loved. I really recommend it to you guys. And Gravity Rush 2 is going to come. So this
is interesting. So at the end of that trailer, it mentioned that as a console debut for Ni no Kuni, which is kind of weird. Rather than saying like timed exclusive or platform. The reason being that they said that it may come to other consoles in the future rather than just PS4. So we might actually see Ni no Kuni 2 on Xbox or maybe even like a Wii U game.
And I'm glad. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like an exclusive just like any other gamer. But when you have a game like I want to share Ni no Kuni with you, Derek, it is frustrating because you don't have a PlayStation 3. So the fact that if they say Ni no Kuni is coming for a computer, that would make me excited. I would play it, exactly, right? So I am all for having the ability, and it gives more people to enjoy it. I mean, look at what happened to Tomb Raider: Rise of the Tomb Raider. Such a magnificent, awesome game. It's gotten high scores across the board, and it just died. Why? Because they released it exclusively for Xbox. And they released it on the same day as Fallout 4. Who releases a game the same day as a Fallout game? Makes no sense.
Yeah, what were they thinking? Obviously, Fallout wouldn't sell if like, Tomb Raider came out.
So, the fact that it is coming to other consoles, that's good news. Excuse me, refill.
So, we wanted to go ahead and get off of the PlayStation experience.
Yes.
Since that's pretty much all we wanted to talk about with that. It was a pretty good event from what I saw.
Yeah. I mean, people have high expectations.
Interesting trailers.
And they may not have filled those expectations.
There was one more.
Oh, yes. Yes, there is one more.
What the hell was her name? LeClue. Yes. So this game looks sweet.
Oh, yes, it is.
It's coming out on PC and on PS4. So I actually wanted to show this real quick.
Yep.
Because I forgot about it earlier. So this is a little game called Jenny LeClue.
Yep.
Which is a adventure game coming out, and it has some really cool art style and such. It's sort of like a mystery adventure game, based around this really cute art style and kind of like an old Hardy Boys or what the hell were... There were a ton of these in the 90s that were like these mystery club things. Yeah.
Like Nancy Drew.
Nancy Drew, exactly. Yep. It's just like that, sort of. And this little trailer is... Let me get to the gameplay here.
It's a lot of fun.
So there's... I'm curious if this is coming out on Vita or something too, because of the touchscreen with the finger.
I really hope so.
That's going to be a mouse, I assume, on PC.
Yeah.
And on PS4, PS4 also has a little touch thing.
The game,
so I'm assuming if it'll be utilizing that just based on the picture of the finger moving around. But this is another game I'm super excited to look out for, just because of it looks like kind of like a quirky little adventure game.
Mm-hmm.
And those are exactly the type of games that I absolutely love. So, yeah. Jenny Leclue.
Super excited. You should post that one on the...
Jenny Leclue, Detective Vu.
Definitely is one of those most exciting ones. Yeah. And it is coming to consoles and it's coming to PC, so...
Linux too, apparently.
No, wow.
And Apple.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. Cool. So that was all we had to talk about for the PlayStation experience. Let's go ahead and move into new shit.
Yes.
So did you have any new games you were playing?
Yes, actually, I know I'm the one late to the party this time because I played for the first time Journey yesterday. And Journey is very amazing. It is more than just a game. It is kind of like a experience to be played. So,
I was about to get Don't Stop Believing as the video, but that's probably close enough, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. So it is a magnificent game. It is not a hard game whatsoever. There's no challenge into it whatsoever. That's why I say more than a game, it's more like an experience.
Yeah. I'm surprised you took so damn long to play Journey. I played Journey, I don't even own a PS3.
It is one of those games that it got released, it got a lot of hype, and at that time in my life, I was just not gaming all that much. I think that was the same year I got married. I'm now divorced. So I just didn't have enough time to play it. So it was on sale yesterday, and I said, you know what? Let's go ahead and play it. And oh my god, I did not know what I was getting myself into. I went into expecting something like, maybe it hasn't a great story, or the gameplay is amazing. And in reality, none of those things is what makes Journey special. It is just the experience. It is the fact that you are playing this game, literally the journey that you go, and the fact that you encounter people, strangers there, and they doesn't give you their PSN names. You can't chat with them.
Did you actually find someone? Because
Yes.
I was surprised that people were still playing Journey.
Yes, I encountered one, and it was very emotional because you do create this bond,
and you're like making
you create this bond, and the fact that you without even the game telling you, you very fast realize that is a big benefit for you to stick together.
Yeah.
And you do create this bond with that other person, and you go through a lot. And the fact that during one my playthrough, one of the big monsters actually got him and killed them.
Oh no!
And it was very.
You're like,
no. I'm like, no. I've been with this guy so long, and of course the game suddenly replaced him with another player.
Yeah.
I thought it was the same one, but in reality another player replaced him. And it was really exciting, and by the end of it, I have to say, I had tears in my eye, and it was amazing.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how did you feel about the ending of that game? Because I know the ending.
Yeah, no, not to spoil for anyone who haven't seen it, it is a very open ending. Depending on how you take it,
chills, kind of.
I did get chills. To me, again, I don't know if everybody here played it, but to me, what Journey was trying to depict had nothing with the story that it was trying to say. It was clearly depicting life. It is clearly depicting the journey through life, and it was just amazing. That's how I took it. Obviously, no spoilers whatsoever. People have different theories about the story. It is very, very open-ended. Very. So it is up to you guys. Play it and tell us what you think, or how do you think about the ending. But it was just great. Recommend it. It's right now $8 in PlayStation Network.
Yeah.
Please go ahead and buy it. It is awesome.
It's a really good game, obviously. I would also parrot that, saying, worth your purchase. I didn't realize it was on sale. That's probably why you found someone, to be honest, because if it wasn't on sale, people wouldn't be playing it as much. It's hard to find someone in a game. There's a lot of similar games to Journey I've seen that have come out since then to try and utilize that you can't really talk with them or know who they are, but you still need to like converse,
work together,
and it works really well for storytelling reasons.
It does. It really does.
I definitely think the game is more. If there's an argument for video game as art, Journey is at least somewhere near the top of that.
Oh my god, and the music there. The music was just amazing. Yeah. And the fact that the music reacted to what you were doing in the game was just mind-blowing. It is a fantastic game.
Yep, agreed. So that is your new shit. I haven't really been playing much lately. Oh, there was something I played.
Oh, wait.
I'm lying. So I played a free game that came out called Crotel.
Oh, wow. Obscure?
Shh. I know games. Leave me alone. Anybody watching probably knows already because I started doing speedruns of this game.
What is this?
So it's a free platformer that some random person made. And basically you are a crow who owns a hotel. A crotel. Which is in great disrepair, and there's 2 cat inspectors who have shown up to your hotel to inspect it. So you need to go out and try to fix everything as quickly as possible before the inspectors see it. But you're kind of an asshole and you don't really do any of that. All you do is kind of beat up all your handymen and stuff that are actually at your hotel and find skeletons of people that have died in it and stuff. But it's great. It's a fun, very, very shitty fun hotel. So this game's kind of similar to Studio Pixel, which made Carol Blaster and Cave Story. It's a very similar style and sort of gameplay. And yeah, I super dig this game. It's free to download if you haven't played it. Just Google search Crotel. And let me see if I can get to the Ghost Boss, because the Ghost Boss is super cool. It's a short little game, too. It'll probably take you less than an hour to complete.
Okay.
Speedrun's about 13 minutes, somewhere in there. Nice, quick little game, but super enjoyable for, like, some random indie first game ever made. Like,
nice.
From them. I'm super impressed. So, that is what I've been playing, I guess. Would suggest it.
Wow.
And, I mean, how much better can you get than free?
No, not at all. Not much.
So, that is what I've played on new shit. We're gonna go ahead and move on. Mm-hmm. That's all I got for new shit today. So, we had something we wanted to go over.
Yes.
The specific topic... Sorry, I'm pulling up some things. So, we wanted to go ahead and talk about a little bit about the adventure game genre.
Yes.
We have sort of a little bit of a different opinions or different experiences with the adventure games. I'm a huge adventure game point-and-click nerd, and you probably have played like a couple games here and there. But since
I do love the genre, though. Just haven't had the opportunity to indulge in them that much.
So you played Life is Strange Episode 1 recently because I talked you into it, and you said you liked it.
Help! Yes.
So we wanted to talk a little bit about that. So you had a couple other games that you played as a kid that you liked about the genre. So go ahead and...
So even though I haven't had the opportunity, I do have very fond memories in my childhood of loving adventure games. One of them was Scooby-Doo Mystery Blake's Hotel. I played that shit in Genesis so much. And I loved it. I loved it so much. And it was a great game. Weird-ass Scooby-Doo game. And basically you control Shaggy and Scooby, or Scooby just follows you around, and basically play your regular standard adventure game. And the animation was very pretty. Talking about that, we're playing on a console that was, Genesis 16-bit, if I'm not mistaken, was Genesis. And it just played wonderfully, and the story was really fun. I remember really, even though I was just a kid, really being really involved in it. And it was a lot of fun to play through it once again. So this one was one of those first games that really got me, and I didn't realize what genre it was until just 10 years later. So It was great.
So yeah, Scooby-Doo Mystery Blake's Hotel is actually one of the best games on Genesis, period. It's actually kind of expensive to go buy still, because it's sort of rare. But the cool thing about that game is it was one of the only games on Genesis that used the Scum engine, which we were talking about earlier with Day of the Tentacle. So it has this list of things you can do on the bottom of the screen, and then when you interact with something, it lights up that text to tell you again. And it's very handy for a console, for instance, to allow you to do that, because you couldn't do text entering like a parser. On
not like
Genesis.
today where you could just plug in any keyboard on a console.
So you just can't do that. But yeah, it was a really good game. I played through this a long time ago. This is on my list of stuff I want to replay through, actually, because I love this game.
Me too.
You also had mentioned a Pac-Man game.
Yes. At the same time I was playing Scooby-Doo, or around that time, I also encountered Pac-Man 2, The New Adventures. I played that for the Super Nintendo. And it was... This is what if you would have told me as a kid...
Yeah.
What game did Pac-Man come from? I would have told you Pac-Man 2, The New Adventures.
Oh my God. This game is such a pile, though.
It is so good. I loved it. It was so much fun. And I'm telling you, as a child, I was a kid.
It's a kid,
probably 6 years old or something. And oh my God, I played this shit so much. It was so good. And yeah, it was really fun. And it is an adventure game, and I have really fond memories of it. Really fun. It's really short. If you already know what you're doing, you can possibly just finish it in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It is really short. But I remember my first playthrough took me quite a while I figured everything out. So it was pretty awesome.
Yeah. They did do this at AGDQ. This game is... I
love
this game is pretty bad, to be honest.
I love it.
And the walking animation of Pac-Man
it's amazing! You can get Pac-Man drunk or high.
You can get him drunk.
You know, you can make him... It was just so much fun. I love that. It was so much good.
The thing about this Pac-Man game is that Pac-Man is a big... stupid idiot, and it's your job to shoot pellets at places to warn
You expected him to
big,
be a freaking Stephen Hawking?
Stupid idiot.
It's a Pac-Man. It eats ghosts.
So frustrating.
You have to control him through hallways in the original game.
I picked 2 games to go over in the adventure genre as well. There's The Secret of Monkey Island, another very famous Scum game. Again, the Scum engine. I
cannot hear that word and think 30 thoughts. Scum.
The thing about the Scum engine is it really revolutionized the way that adventure games were played. Back in the old days of like Apple II and Commodore and that type of thing, the main adventure games were text parsers. So it would tell you a big giant paragraph of where you are. There's a room to your north, a door to your right, a saw blade with a teddy bear on the south or whatever.
Yeah, you don't want that on the south.
You don't want to go that way. But, so it would tell you all this shit, and then you'd have to type in, go south. I don't understand go. Walk south. South isn't an option. Fuck you. Please don't use that language. God damn it. They're just like the biggest bullshit.
Pain in the ass.
Huge pain in the ass to play. So what ended up revolutionizing that was the Scum engine, because that Scum engine made it so that it was much more accessible for you to play the game. So you weren't constantly trying to play the parser. And text parsers are, as somebody who's wrote a text parser before, they are awful. No, not good for a game at all. So Secret Monkey Island is one of the earlier LucasArts games that used the Scum engine very well, and it sort of popularized it, along with Day of the Tentacle and Full Throttle and a bunch of the other games we mentioned earlier today. And there's also a remastered version of this, which was released on PC, I think Xbox, and a couple other places. I think so, anyway.
Yeah.
But if you want to go replay through it, I would highly suggest it. Another quick game I wanted to mention is something with fluffy bun buns. Let me see if I can... Probably right here. Wait. Is this it? Nah. Ah, here we go. Nightmare Fuel. So... So Toonstruck is a game that I've played on stream before.
What the hell is that?
And it has Christopher Lloyd as the main actor in FMV. And there is Fluffy Bun, which is voiced by the same person who voiced Babs Bunny.
Oh, God.
And it's fucking terrible, and I love it. So, the story of this game is basically like Christopher Lloyd is an animator for the Fluffy Bun show. And he falls asleep and gets brought into Toontown.
Of course.
And his best friend...
So, what you're telling me is this is the prequel to Roger Rabbit.
Sort of, yeah, it's very similar. But he's brought into Toontown, which is being attacked by Tim Curry.
You don't have to keep selling me the game. I am sold.
And slowly the world of Toontown is being taken over by evil, nasty things. And if you move on, oh yeah, don't go in that barn. That barn is nightmare fuel. As you move on, you do other silly, weird things, and there's animated cutscenes and stuff, and it's a really fun game. This is another game from my childhood that I super enjoyed in the adventure game genre, just because of how zany and weird it is, and how cool. A lot of the puzzles are sort of out of the box because of cartoon logic. Mm-hmm. So you need to move this elevator that is on a wire from one area of Toontown to the other. So how do you move it? Well, there's a little spinning thing on top. So how are you going to get that to spin? Of course, you get a rat and put it on there, and then it runs, and that causes.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Perfect sense, right?
Total sense.
So I learned about that.
How would have you done it? I mean,
sure.
No, this.
But yeah, it's. I love this game. It's super weird and super cool. So we wanted to talk a little bit about a couple of our favorite adventure games. So what I wanted to figure out is, so you played Life is Strange recently, which is way different than a lot of these older games. So what do you find enjoyable in an adventure game series, or what are you looking for when you look for an adventure game?
So what I do like about an adventure game is the fact that even though it is a played out story, there's a lot of interactions, a lot of figuring out, a lot of detective work that you have to do. I like the fact that back in these old school type of adventure games, have you seen, of course everybody have seen these two pictures, figure out what's different between them.
Yeah.
I kind of feel that when you play those old school adventure games, in the sense that figure out this nice little picture that you have in front of you, what's wrong with it or what's different in it, and it always been really fun, and the way you choose your options and the interactions of the characters to that was very funny. Nowadays, obviously,
there's a huge evolution now.
Exactly. Now a game, it's I would like to say that it plays out more like a TV show, where you have your characters and they're very, very developed, and you basically see what's going on through the eyes of the protagonist. And you do still have that experience of inspecting and figuring out stuff, but it's in a whole different level, right? A different way. And what nowadays adventure games do that they didn't back in the day was the fact that you can heavily change the story depending of the actions you take, which comes back to being able to play the game more than once.
Telltale has really sort of revolutionized the genre a bit and sort of reinvented it again. Whereas before, the adventure game genre was much more about just wandering around using item puzzles in your inventory and looking around. Now it's more about how can you sell me on the story and the characters. So it's a completely different genre now than I think it used to be, but it's still super enjoyable. I find games like Life is Strange or Tales from Borderlands or Walking Dead and those types of games are still just as good as the Toonstrucks, the Monkey Islands, the Full Throttle, the old games of the day. So things I hated that you don't see anymore in adventure games, I hated pixel hunting. In old adventure games, what they would do is they give you this giant screen of shit everywhere on the screen. And then you had to dig for exactly a tiny wrench 3 pixels high in the corner, sitting on a wall, and it was important for you to progress, or else you couldn't progress at all. That was awful.
That sounds bad.
But that's how they you ended up just sort of clicking everywhere on screen, hoping you found something. It was really bad. But that was something in some old adventure games that are kind of miserable. I do still like the King's Quest, Space Quest type of parsing games with the mouse support and stuff. Those I think is still kind of fun. As a nice medium point between the text parser and the Scum engine. Yeah. But I much prefer the Scum games as opposed to the old style adventure games. And I feel like the adventure game genre is alive again and well. Without the success of Telltale, we wouldn't be seeing King's Quest being voiced by the SpongeBob actor. I mixed 2 words.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's the whiskey.
Yeah, it's the whiskey. It's probably the whiskey. But yeah, adventure game genre is pretty cool if you want to go look at some new games that are coming out if you haven't already. Life is Strange is good. King's Quest looked okay. I played a demo of it. It was fine. I don't know if I'd pay for it episodically. That's the problem I have with the King's Quest one. But yeah, tons of cool stuff coming out. Life is Strange got announced for season 2 a while back. They were coming out with another one. There's a new Walking Dead Michonne game that we talked about a little bit ago. So.
And Batman, new Batman game also well. So
tons
like
to
you
look
said,
out for in the genre.
Telltale Games was definitely the shot in the arm that adventure games needed, and it is mainly because people, if you ask anyone, have you played an adventure game, they would say no, and they would say, have you played any Telltale game? And they're like, oh yeah, I played Telltale game, because people don't make the connection that a Telltale game is actually an adventure game. Because as you said, it's kind of like revolutionized the whole thing, and you don't think about it as that way. So thanks to the fact that Telltale Game has made this possible, we're seeing that renaissance of adventure games coming out, and that is also why I believe that the reason why we're having these remasters as well, Green Fandango, we're having Full Throttle, Tay of the Tentacle, is because Telltale Game was able to bring that back into the table.
As an old school adventure game player, there was a good 10-year period where there just weren't any adventure games, or no popular ones. And then once Telltale started releasing the Sam & Max games and the New Monkey Island games,
Back to the Future, Jurassic Park.
Once they started releasing those, it just sort of snowballed and caught back.
And then the one that made all the difference, Walking Dead.
Walking Dead really got popular.
Before that just took off.
Yeah. But adventure games, they're pretty rad.
Check them out, play them.
Yeah.
We said, there's a few new ones coming out. Play Life is Strange, definitely is a good one. Borderlands, Tales of Borderlands.
I need to play
in
through that
PSN for $3.95. Go get it if you have PlayStation 4. That's definitely another Telltale game that is awesome to play. Go ahead and grab that one.
So for Game of the Week, we have something a little bit different this
controversy.
episode.
No, wait, that's not the word.
So the Game of the Week this week is literally every Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy as a whole, yes.
But mostly Final Fantasy 10, because that game is a giant pile of dog shit. So we wanted to talk about Final Fantasy, because Miguel and I have some strong opinions.
Slightly different opinions about Final Fantasy.
So
there's my opinion that I really enjoyed. It has great, not all of them, but it's a great games, are awesome. And then there's Derek's, which is wrong.
Okay, so I've played Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9, and 10, and 10 too. And then I gave up on the entire series. And Tactics. I like Tactics.
Okay.
So I want to go through...
I'm going to let you talk.
Tactics is good, although incredibly slow-paced. That's the big problem I have with Tactics. I went back and played it because I have it on Game Boy Advance, which is like a port of the PlayStation game. Mm-hmm. And the port is... I don't remember the game being this slow paced when I played through it again, and maybe that's just because I was younger. Final Fantasy 7 was okay. 8 was crap. 9 was crap. 10 was awful, literally awful. Blitzball was the worst fucking thing. Oh, and then 10-2 was actually, I think, a step up from 10, but was less well received. So at that point, I gave up on the entire series because it's all shit, except for maybe the MMO that came out. So that's my opinion.
So I, on the other hand, is a super fan of old school Final Fantasy. When I say old school, I do include 9 and anything 9.
Are you talking about like the suplexing a train Final Fantasy? Yeah, those are fine.
Yes.
Okay, because those are fun.
That's amazing. So I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy 4. I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy 6, and I love Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9. And they're fantastic games. I mean, they brought so much. I mean, Final Fantasy 7 was a revolution in the video game history. I'm not saying it's the best, not at all, but it's definitely one that brought the JRPG genre open to everyone. Everyone who was talking about Final Fantasy 7, even though Final Fantasy 6 was a superior game. So
this is what I'm confused about. How the hell do you like Final Fantasy X?
So Final Fantasy 10.
How do you even like?
I have mixed feelings about. So Final Fantasy 10 had great combat mechanics. I loved it. The summoning system was really good, and most of the characters were fun. What was bad about Final Fantasy 10 was the horrible protagonist.
So Titus is terrible. Yuna is horrible. Fucking awful.
Yuna was not any good as well.
So the problem with Yuna...
And the story was not good at all.
The story revolves around Yuna being saved 3 times.
Yeah.
Well, literally, that's it.
Yeah.
You could cut the story at and then Yuna gets taken, and then you save Yuna, and then Yuna gets taken. Fuck this story.
But, dude, if you're gonna take that into account, then don't play any Mario games either. But
but Final Fantasy isn't fucking Mario. That's the problem.
So, I have mixed feelings about Final Fantasy X. I completely hate Final Fantasy 12 and Final Fantasy 13 to death.
13, I've heard nothing.
Those
but
are just
bad
crap games. No good, whatever.
I had a lot of problems.
But
with
both MMOs are actually really good. Final Fantasy 11 was hard as shit. It's notorious for being just batshit hard. It was so hard to play that game, and you required to constantly a party. That kind of turned people off of it, but in itself, the core of the game was really good, and the story was really good. And Final Fantasy 14 is actually a big step up for them in the MMO genre.
I've actually seen some Magic streamers streaming Final Fantasy 14, and it looks okay for MMO.
It is a lot of fun. The class system is very fantastic. The combat is good, and the story is good, which is hard to say for an MMO. MMOs tend to not have a good story, and Final Fantasy 14 really pulled it off.
There was a 13-3? How is there a 13-3?
Yeah, that's You're Vash, you're not helping me in my point. Shut up.
Do you remember when they said...
No, the 10 upward, not counting the MMOs, are pretty
do you remember when they slipped in that you can play all your favorite Final Fantasy characters in this game, including Lightning?
Dissidia?
Dissidia?
Dissidia.
Yeah, you can play all your favorite Final Fantasy characters.
It was a cool game,
like
though.
Lightning.
It was fun. It was like a Smash Brother. Shut up.
Like, all your favorite Final Fantasy
like
characters.
Titus and Vaughn. Oh my god, Vaughn is the worst. If Titus, you think Titus is the worst. Vaughn from Final Fantasy 12 was the worst. Thank you, Vassar. I appreciate not helping me and helping Derek. But no, in reality, if you haven't played Final Fantasy 6, at least 6 and 4, those two for me are the pinnacle of Final Fantasy. They were fantastic games. They were just great.
The sprite games are good.
Yeah, those are fantastic. Tactics was fantastic. And yes, if you play old school PlayStation 1 Final Fantasy Tactics, it was slow as hell. They've since then remastered a few times, and now it's super fun. So you can definitely try that one too. They're fun. I mean, they're good. I'm excited for 15. It's 4 dudes in a car.
I mean, it's sort of like a bro road trip, which is not really a game for Final Fantasy, but... So, a couple things I like about Final Fantasy, I like the limit break system, I like the summons. Summons are really cool. It's sort of like a Shin Megami Tensei type of summon, which is great. The series just lost me over the years, any interest whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to say 7 is the best game, because it really isn't.
No, it wasn't.
It isn't. No. It's not even...
There's the misconception
it's not even a great game. It's a good game.
It was revolutionary for its time, and we go back to that, right? It is not that it was by today's means a fantastic, awesome game. It was just at that point in time, it was just something that blew people's mind.
When people talk about Final Fantasy, they tend to just talk about 7 because that's where the divide happens.
Because that's the more it's like. People who are super excited about Star Wars, let's say kids nowadays, right? Super excited about Star Wars because they loved Episode 3. Yeah. Episode 3 by far was not the best Star Wars, but it was the one that most sold, right? So people have a lot of memories about... Young people have a lot of memories. And that's what happened with Final Fantasy 7.
People might want to mute the... I might be playing Titus Laugh right now.
God. Yeah. You're not making my point easy. Not counting those, Final Fantasy is nice. But the point is, and
what a terrible fuck this shit. Oh my god.
Vash mentioned that Final Fantasy VIII is very controversial, and he's right. Many people did not like me, but the main reason why people didn't like Final Fantasy VIII is how soap opera-ish it was. It was very soap opera. It was all about the romance between Squall and Rinoa, and that's why it was. I loved it. I mean, I love Final Fantasy VIII, so it was one of my favorite ones.
But anyway,
Final Fantasy, I love it. It's great. Don't play the newer ones. Just play 9 and down. Especially the sprite ones for
Final Fantasy. It's bad. It hasn't been good for a while. Stop playing them. That's my opinion.
Fuck you, Derek.
So that's our game of the week. We're going to go ahead and close the episode here. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching, guys. Definitely.
Hope that was worth your time and interesting. Thanks for hanging out.
If you want to follow us, you already know where to follow Derek at Hunky Flunky at Twitter. You can follow me at Lord Jashiro. Guys, see you next week, and hopefully we can start some streaming.
Yep.
Games, I mean.
Hopefully soon, although it's going to be probably after the holidays, to be honest. It'll be rough. But thanks for hanging out, everyone. See you next time.
See you guys.